Ground ball. McLean, second. 12 in a row. The oldest team in professional baseball has its 5th ever winning streak of a dozen straight.
Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught. Left center. Reds win.
And this ball is launched high and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? It's going to be gone. Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? He's back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds. Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it 5-4.
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Karcher does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit to deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. This will win it. This will win it. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose and Dunn
Hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2.
in on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Chambers rounds third, and this one belongs to the Reds.
That's hit pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now.
Swung on, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate, and this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. It's gone. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into the Chatterbox Reds pregame show. I'm Sam Keithley, and I'm joined here with Ricky Logan. We're going to go over the Reds and Dodgers game tonight at Great American Ballpark. Possible weather coming in, according to Ricky. He's kind of down there, a little bit west of Cincinnati. He says rain's coming, but we shall see. Before we get into this game, let's go over the series sweep over the Rays. 4 straight for the Reds, including a series sweep, like I said. Ricky, why don't we kind of go over those 3 games? What did you see out of the Reds?
Yeah, I saw a team that looks like they should buy at the trade deadline. We'll talk about that later in the show, but you go out and you sweep Tampa. Friday night, you go out and you win. What was it, 7-2?
Yep.
Just great. And then Saturday's game, it was tight. There was not a lot going on. And then Ellie comes through with the bases loaded. Funny enough, he's batting .500 with the bases loaded this year.
Yeah.
Just people say he's not clutch, but that seems pretty clutch to me. And then yesterday's just Brady Singer going out and shoving. So, yeah, huge series to sweep, and then kind of leading into some momentum against the Dodgers team that has lost 6 out of their last 10. So hopefully we can keep that momentum going and then roll into the trade deadline and hopefully come out of that looking good too.
Yeah, you said it best. This team, they proved that they need some more help, or they proved that they should not be sellers. And I think they show the front office that there's no other choice other than to buy. The weekend, I think they just proved they just played winning baseball. Friday, they get down 2-1, and then the offense wakes up. They get 7 runs there, and then Saturday was just a playoff atmosphere. The broadcast, the Cowboy kept referring to it, how high the energy was there, and then that bases loaded bloop single from Ellie, just place erupted, and that's just that clutch hit you're talking about. But yeah, winning baseball. Sunday, Singer comes out and shoves. He's been struggling a lot the past couple months, but when the team needs it, he gives them 7 1/3. I think 1 run, just that home run given up. But yeah, 3 wins against a good Rays team. Going into it, 53-50 were both teams, so same record. Pretty similar seasons going on, but the Reds prove that need to be buyers, which is something I agree with. Getting into this game tonight against the Dodgers, we're going to have Chase Burns on the bump, rookie Chase Burns, who has been electric. He's been a high strikeout guy, but he's struggled to limit the big inning, kind of those big home runs we've seen, whether it's McMahon of the Rockies, that blemish he had there, or against the Yankees, great start, but just can't really finish. Some inconsistency there. But yeah, are you excited? I know everyone's going to be excited for Burns tonight, but what do you expect kind of against this powerful Dodgers lineup?
I think he's going to come out just energetic. We saw how it was his debut against the Yankees. He came out just firing, and then obviously he kind of got touched up later on in the game, but that's kind of been his thing this year. Is he goes out, has a really solid first couple innings minus the Boston game, and then the second time through, third time through is when you're not really seeing the adjustment yet, but that's just all part of being a rookie and learning. And you're not going to just blow 100 miles per hour past every hitter all the time. There's got to be adjustments, and he's got the stuff to get past that. It's just learning to do that. And then, like we saw that with the Nationals start, he went 5 2/3. He had 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. Yeah. And he struck out 9 of the first 14 guys he faced. The runs came later. The 5th and the 6th inning is where he allowed 6 runs. But yeah, if he can get out firing, and then maybe I think they talked about it last night on the postgame show, you could have somebody like Suter come in who hasn't really pitched in a few days, who could kind of be that bridge into the later half of the game with the bullpen and kind of throw some guys off, because you go from 101 to 83. It's kind of a big drop off, especially from the other hand too. So yeah, I'm interested to see how Burns can overcome the later innings of his starts.
Yeah, 10 strikeouts in that Washington game last time out, and then 10 strikeouts against the Rockies prior to that. So he doesn't have any trouble with his stuff, getting it by guys. Like you said, 9 of the first 14 were strikeouts. And then it's the same thing, kind of that second and third times through, floodgates kind of just open, and the offense kind of erupts for the other team. 7 hits and 5 earned runs last time out. But those 10 Ks, it just strikes my eye. If he can just kind of get through that second and third time through, limit the damage, his stuff is good enough too. And you mentioned Suter as a guy to follow him. When Hunter Green comes back and this rotation gets fully healthy, I think Nick Martinez is the perfect guy to stick right behind him, kind of as that hybrid bullpen starter arm, because he can go, 4 or 5 after Burns, depending on how poor he does. If Burns can give you 4, Martinez gives you 3, then you go Santillan Pagan. That's kind of the ideal way, but I just think he fits in really well. Martinez there right behind Burns, because when Hunter comes back, you're going to have 6 quality starters for the Reds, and I just think he kind of fits in perfectly there.
Yeah, that would be a really good option, especially if they don't move on from Martinez at the deadline too.
Yeah, that's the key, because highest paid Red on an expiring contract. Reds could look to move him, got some value there, but I'm not sure. Really, no one's sure what's going to happen here, whether they're going to buy or kind of buy, sell, but we shall see in the next coming days. But on the other side of the mound, we've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the Dodgers star pitcher this year. I'll call him that because he's been their best pitcher on a stacked staff that's just been injured. Glasnow, Snell, Roki Sasaki, their the guy they signed this offseason, top prospect coming into the season. They've all been hurt. I believe only 18 combined starts out of those three guys. And then Ohtani, who we're going to see later on, been hurt too, but they're starting to ease them in a little bit, like we'll see on Wednesday, that is. But yeah, Yamamoto's been awesome. 2.55 ERA with a 1.05 whip. Like I said, best pitcher for them. What do you see out of him, Ricky?
Yeah, I mean, he's just a really, really good pitcher. 2.84 ERA over his last 3 starts. His last start against Minnesota was 5 innings, a run, a walk, 8 strikeouts. And he's done very well against the Reds too, or I guess active Reds. We only have 2 hits against him out of 13 at-bats, and that's Fraley and Steer. Those are only 2 guys with a hit. So I'd kind of like to see that be turned around a little bit, but I mean, he's just a really good pitcher. And like you mentioned, Sasaki, we got a really good prospect in return from the Dodgers for international cap space for him and Arnaldo Lantigua. I mean, we're years away from seeing him, but man, I would have liked to have seen Sasaki as a Red too.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like I said, coming into the season, number 1 prospect, one of those high paid players that the Dodgers seem to always get. But yeah, Yamamoto, awesome pitcher. You're going to see a lot of splitters out of him, and then a fastball that he can command. But he did have a start this month where he did not get out of the first inning against the Brewers, and the Brewers actually swept them twice this month, which is crazy. But the Brewers, that just shows you how hot they've been and kind of how the Dodgers have been trending down a bit, not doing well in the month of July. So you'd hate to see them be due and then the offense wakes up against the Reds. But yeah, they've really been struggling. A lot of bats. Mookie Betts kind of sticks out as one of the bats that's struggling. But yeah, Yamamoto, rough start against the Brewers there, but for the most part this year he's been awesome. Now getting into the lineup we see from the Reds tonight. Ricky, run us down 1 through 9.
Yeah, we got TJ Friedl leading off playing center field, Matt McClain in the 2-hole at second base, Ellie De La Cruz shortstop batting third, Austin Hayes in left field cleanup, Gavin Lux in the 5-hole at DH, Spencer Steer at first base, not Santiago Espinal, thankfully. Tyler Stevenson catching, Will Benson in the lineup today in right field, and batting ninth is Noelvi Marte, which, you know, some people don't like that, but I think if you have a guy hitting 333 in his last 7 games, batting ninth, it's a good way to flip over the lineup. Yeah,
you said flip over the lineup, and that's a perfect way of putting it. Having a guy at the bottom of the lineup who's been that awesome definitely helps. And then right behind him, Will Benson. Great to see him back in the lineup. You know, Fraley getting the starts lately over Benson. Right after the break, we didn't see Benson for, 5 games, only 1 at bat in that time. So it's really good to see him back against this Dodger team that 2 years ago he had maybe the most electric home run I've ever seen in that walk-off early June. So hopefully we can get some of that same magic out of him. But yeah, it's good to see him back. He's one of those players who it just seems like he's bound to break through. He hits the ball hard and he doesn't chase a lot. All the Savant numbers, you pull up Baseball Savant and the whole page is red in those every stat they have. So it just seems like if you hit the ball hard and you don't chase, where's the ball going? And it's right now it's kind of just going right at the defense. So hopefully he can elevate, get a ball over the fence, or just start to see some hits fall, because I think it'd be great for the Reds to make a move, and I know everyone wants that, but sometimes the best things you can do is internal, and I think getting Benson hot and consistent is something sneaky that the Reds can really benefit off of.
Yeah, and I wanted to highlight Matt McClain too. Batting 308 in his last 7 games, 310 in his last 15, and 261 over his last 30. So, I mean, he's seen his numbers climb. It hasn't been real consistent, but, I mean, Matt McClain, if he can start to figure it out, I mean, like you said, like internally, that's just like a trade. If these guys can figure it out. Because we saw in 2023 what these guys' potential can be, and I think they could be even better than that if they just figure it out. And it's a tall task to ask for, but I mean, I think what this team really needs is just a veteran. Like 2010, you had Scott Rowland and Miguel Cairo later on, and Ryan Ludwig in 2012. I mean, there was just veteran presence to help these young guys figure it out, but we just don't really have that right now. I think Jeimer Candelario was supposed to be that guy, and he just wasn't.
Yeah, he definitely was not with the Yankees minor league system right now. But yeah, you mentioned McLean being awesome the past week or so, and his overall numbers that you're going to see aren't going to be great just because of that hole he dug himself into. But I think by using those 7 to 20 game sample sizes, you can really see some that McLean is trending upwards, and that's huge for him to be there in the 2-hole every night, getting a runner on base for Ellie. He's just going to be huge. Like Benson, getting help internally is going to be possibly just as impactful as a trade. A lot of people won't want to hear that, but it could end up being true how good he gets. If you see 2023 McLean, this team is, so much better. They're probably contending for the NL Central right now, but you can't play what ifs, and it's hard to do that. But yeah, lastly in the lineup, it's hard not to highlight what Elly De La Cruz has been doing, and it's strange because he hasn't hit a home run since the Yankee series in June 23rd, I believe. So if you would have told me that Elly De La Cruz would go, almost a calendar month without hitting a home run, I would have gotten really nervous, and I would have expected us to drop in the standings quite a bit. But he's done everything else amazingly. In that time, Elly has hit 330 with a 912 OPS over the last 30 games, which is awesome for Elly. If you're hitting 330 and getting on base that much, he's just going to wreak havoc on the base paths. Even if it's not stealing bases, just, getting a guy on for Hayes who's been awesome lately. But his average has been up so much higher than I think a lot of people expected. He's hovering around 285 right now, which is awesome to see out of Elly. You haven't seen the home run, you haven't seen the power, but he's still putting up good ABs, and he's still hitting the ball hard, just not getting that elevation. So might be due to hit a home run tonight. His debut came against the Dodgers, so we saw that home run in that second game. But yeah, just want to highlight how awesome Elly's been.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. I mean, he's everything that we could dream of as a player for the Reds, and we're so lucky to have him on our team, and with more years to come. I mean, like we talked about, like you talked about his batting average, like him hitting, getting close to 300. Like, who would have thought that if you asked people last year that he would have this drastic of an improvement over last season? And every level he's played at, he's been a really good hitter, contact wise and power wise. I think the power is just him. He's taking the ball and putting it where it needs to go and not trying to do too much with it. And that's coming from the right side and the left side. He's been a dramatic improvement versus left-handed pitching too. And I can't say enough good things about Elly De La Cruz.
All right, other side of the dugouts, we got the Dodgers lineup tonight. Star-studded lineup. One of the the reigning champions in MLB. So still got most of the core guys, but then you got some new players this year like Conforto, and then Hyseon Kim, who's actually the main reason that we have Gavin Lux right now, because they decided to move on from him and decided to play Kim there at second. But yeah, who stands out to you in this lineup? Ricky, you obviously got the star power, but who do you expect to see giving the Reds the most trouble?
Yeah, I think the most obvious one, Shohei Ohtani. He's got 5 home runs over his last 7, 8 over his last 15, 13 over his last 30, 38 home runs on the year, 71 RBIs, batting .275 and 998 OPS. I mean, Shohei's probably the best hitter in the National League overall, and it's not really even close. And the fact that he's pitching tomorrow or Wednesday is just even crazier. Yeah, you could. I mean, I don't even know. He's so good that it's just hard to highlight anybody else. Like, I mean, they have a really good lineup. Mookie Betts, all-star. Teoscar Hernandez, we wanted him in free agency, and I think he just wanted to run it back with the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman, one of the best left-handed hitters in baseball, as well as Shohei Ohtani. More contact as opposed to power, but he does have power. I mean, it's Dodgers, man. They are just full of stars.
Yeah, 3 MVPs there that you just mentioned. It's wild to see. And then something that one of their better hitters or best hitters this year, probably second hitter behind Shohei, Will Smith, not in the lineup tonight. You got Dalton Rushing in there catching, the lefty batting ninth, and Smith has been, I mean, unbelievable this year. I think he's leading the National League in average, which is wild to see out of catcher.
Yeah.
Catchers are having a great year with what Cal Raleigh and Will Smith are doing. They're really proving that catchers can do. They can play defense and they can control the battery, and then they can also hit and be an all-star type hitter. But yeah, Will Smith not in the lineup today. Reds are only 5 games. Yeah, that is crazy to think about going into the start of the season. If you would have told me that, I would have been thrilled too. But, another guy that sticks out to me, you mentioned Teoscar Hernandez, a guy that I wanted badly, but Andy Pages has been an awesome center fielder for the Dodgers this year. And I saw not really buzz, but there was a scenario where the Reds could have picked him up as kind of a platoon bat, and he ended up being, an everyday center fielder. So he's a guy that you got to worry about right after Freddie Freeman. He's been an all-star type bat, and just 1 through 9, you're gonna have to worry about these Dodgers hitters. Burns is gonna have a lot on his plate tonight, but I really think his stuff is good enough to give the Reds, 6 solid innings and then turn it over to the bullpen, who has been used a lot lately. But, we'll see. Anything else on this lineup before we end it with a little bit of trade buzz talk to end it here?
No, just they're really good.
Yeah. Really good is an understatement. All right. So the trade deadline coming up here in the next couple of days, and we've mentioned it this whole show. Reds have to buy. They've really proved that they need some reinforcements, and they're good enough to kind of make that push to get past the Padres in that final wild card spot. Only 1 game back. So, Ricky, I know there's so many names out there. It's really hard to pick, but who are some of the main guys that you would love the Reds to see, whether that's, Suarez or someone kind of more under the radar?
Yeah, I think the more obvious one would be Eugenio Suarez. It feels like the stars are kind of aligning for that move that happened. He was rumored to go to the Yankees. They take McMahon from the Rockies. He was rumored to go to Seattle. Still is. It's still a possibility, but they take Josh Naylor. I think the Phillies are interested in Luis Robert. They could probably give up more to get him compared to what we should give up for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Suarez kind of fits a need. Power hitting bat. You can DH him. You can play him at third with Noelvi Marte taking some plays or playing some games in the outfield and taking fly balls in center. That kind of opens up a spot in case they do bring him in. I just don't want to see. I kind of agree with Nick a little bit. I don't want to see like over aggressiveness on prospect trading. I don't really see an immediate spot for Edwin Arroyo within the next 2 years because, we're still going to have Ellie De La Cruz at short. Hopefully, Noelvi Marte can figure it out and play third, or if he doesn't, you got Sal Stewart at third base. Cam Collier could be up within the next 2 years alongside of Arroyo, so he's probably going to be your first baseman or DH. And then Hector Rodriguez could take Friedel's spot next year. So, I just think Arroyo is kind of that top prospect you could kind of dangle out there and say, hey, he's really good. We just don't have a spot for him, and he can maybe get a good return. And then I don't think Chase Petty would, the way he's been performing lately, would bring in anybody right now. But I like Suarez. If you could get Luis Robert on more of a deal with how he's performed this year, but he's been pretty well over his last few games. And I don't know who else is really out there available that I would say I want to be aggressive and go after. I mean, there's like your smaller moves, like maybe like a Taylor Ward, or even I forget his name. Plays on the Angels too, but
Joe Adele.
Joe Adele, yeah, like maybe like one of
Yeah.
those two guys. But I don't think there's anybody that screams like help. Like Suarez is kind of like the guy, but what worries me, he's 34 and a rental, so I just don't want to give up too much to get him either.
Yeah, you mentioned those two guys on the Angels, Ward and Adele. I'd be beyond thrilled for one of those moves. Depending on the price, of course. If it's a massive overpay, be a little bit skeptical. But I think those two guys are awesome, both right-handed bats, and I believe both of them kind of somewhat local guys. Ward from Ohio, I believe, and then I think Adele played high school ball in Louisville, and then he was committed to Louisville before he decided to go in the draft. But yeah, those are two guys you just don't know if they're available, because the Angels, they've been kind of in the middle kind of the whole season. You don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, you mentioned about it all. Suarez would be awesome. But you really just don't know what the price is. Arroyo, Petty, do these guys have value to other teams? You just don't know. Petty's not been great up at the big leagues. Hasn't really been great down in the minors either. But a young arm with all those tools, you have to think he'd still have some value, worth getting a decent big league bat. But you never know. A name that I was just doing some searching around and no clue if he'd be available, but I know the Athletics are last in the AL West, and Nick Kurtz is a guy that they took last year in the draft, which he's just been amazing. That 4 home run game the other night, but he's in there at first base, and then a guy that they had prior to that is Tyler Soderstrom at first base, and he's at a 781 OPS this year. Really young guy, a lot of team control. If you can get a piece like that where they can help you now, and then they also give you, 4 or 5 years in the future, that's just the ideal move. That if you can pull it off, do it. Sal Stewart, Cam Collier, those are the guys everyone kind of wants to keep on to. But I think Trey said it best last night. At some point, you kind of just got to. You don't want to be a prospect hugger, and if you're giving up those guys, you're getting something really good in return. But yeah, it would definitely hurt to see a guy like Stewart. I love Hector Rodriguez as well. I think he's going to be, if he stays in this system, I think he can be an integral part next year, depending on what we do with Friedel. But Soderstrom, if he's available, I think that'd be an awesome guy to get. Stick him in there at first, and then do whatever you want with Steer. He can kind of go around. But yeah, there's just so much unknown. Ozuna's been kind of floating around. Marcell Ozuna from the Braves. He's got next year too, I believe, under contract. So you'd think he'd be a little bit cheaper than those other guys you've been mentioning. And then after playing the Rays this weekend, I've seen a lot of people throw out Yandy Diaz, who optimistic John, Yandy available. You'd have to think the Rays might be leaning towards being sellers after this weekend. So Yandy Diaz, he'd be a great piece, but you just don't know the values yet. So it's hard to make these mock trades. But I think, Ricky, you kind of said it best. If you can get a guy like Gino, obviously, that'd be awesome. And it seems like kind of all the stars are aligning. When the Yankees made that move for McMahon, the first thing I thought of is this a scenario for the Reds to get Gino? Because the Yankees seem to kind of be the front runner for him. But it's so hard to see. Any last words here before we get out of here? The game, deadline, anything?
No word on any kind of postponements or anything yet. It's pouring down rain where I'm at, but apparently not close enough to the ballpark. But Yandy Diaz, I wanted to talk about him for a second. Nothing crazy, but he does have team control through 2026 with the club option for 27. I did see a report that said that they are softening their stance on trading him and Brandon Lowe. So it seems like that they probably may not be available. It'd probably take a crazy offer to get him.
Yeah.
So that, and then Brenton Doyle from the Rockies, he's 27, has team control for 4 more years. He's won a couple Gold Gloves. He'd be a crazy move to go after, but I don't think they're leaning towards selling him either. And then I see some people in the chat, Brent Rooker. He just got signed this past offseason to a pretty decent contract with the Athletics. So, I mean, part of it is they kind of had to extend these guys and spend money just because it was part of their agreement with relocation. Like they have to spend money to hit this threshold to be in the revenue share. But yeah, you want to see him be aggressive, but just not crazy aggressive. Like I don't want to see Sal Stewart or Rhett Lauder in a trade or Cam Collier and Sal Stewart in a trade, especially if they're rentals.
Yeah. Reynolds would be, you'd have to think Suarez is going to get a pretty decent return, but being a rental, that's going to kind of dock him a little bit in there for the Diamondbacks value, but who knows? I know before the stream we mentioned big league ready guys that we have, CES. He's kind of the first one that comes to mind. How much value will he have? That would definitely, he's a guy who has a lot of team control, who has all the tools, but he's just not really cracking the big league roster right now. Hit a couple bombs in AAA this week, but is he a guy that performs well at AAA? When you call him up, he just can't really repeat that. I don't know, but that's something to think about. There's just so much that goes into this, and I know Nick Kroll and Brad Metter are they're probably better fit for this than we are here sitting on StreamYard talking on YouTube. So, but we shall see here in a couple of days. I'd expect some moves from the Reds. How big of names will they be? I don't know. We didn't really cover the bullpen, but
yeah, that's a necessity too.
Yeah, that doesn't get as much attention just because it's a little bit less entertaining to talk about, 6-inning bullpen arms, but that's something I think the Reds need to do as well. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for us tonight, Ricky. You said it's pouring where you are. Hopefully it doesn't make its way to Cincinnati. Looks like it might, but hopefully it's not too much to where they'll have to make one of these games a doubleheader. But yeah, going to be a fun one with Burns and Yamamoto, two young arms. Any last words here, Ricky?
No, just go Reds.
Yeah, should be a fun one here. Thank you all for tuning in. Like the stream. Post game tonight, Nick and Trace will be on. So go Reds, and make sure to tune into that. Thank you all for watching.